All right, so good morning. It's Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, and today's a weekend meeting for anybody that's needing any help with their way of eating. I don't care if you're carnivore, vegan, vegetarian, or whatever. Weekends are probably the hardest time for anybody to actually stick to a diet. So if you're having issues and you need some help, come on in, sit down, and pull up in the chat because that's what it's all about. We go through the chat, talk to everybody that's in here, as long as they're being civil. And good morning, John Together Strong. Sharing experience, strength, and hope one day at a time. Absolutely, John. It's the only way to do it. And good morning to you, sir. I just sent you back an email, John, with about 16 different pictures in it. If that's what you're looking for, let me know. If not, I'll try to find something else. Good morning, Bride's Biscuit. How are you doing today? And Mr. Brian, how are you doing? It's nice to see you this morning. So, had a good night last night. It was pretty cool. As we last night was the last night of our regular season for our junior hockey league. The team that we have in our town didn't make the playoffs, so they're done for the year. But they were playing out of town at one of the playoff teams home yesterday, Friday night. They came close to winning Friday night. They really gave the second place team a run for the money on Friday night. And last night, we beat them again, or we beat them last night. So we're ending our season on a win, and the playoff team is ending the regular season with a loss. And that's never a good sign going into playoffs. But I know a lot of teams, they rest their better players right before the playoffs, and this game didn't mean anything for standings or for where you're going to be at in the playoffs. So yeah, the other team was missing some of their players, but it was due to injuries and stuff like that. As was ours. Our team was actually, we've been plagued with injuries all year, but it's what happens. But it was nice to see our team win, and then the team that we have here in town, we've had a lot of commitments for people going to college and getting scholarships and stuff like that coming out of our team. And as of last night, 6 of our players have joined the ranks of the professional leagues, the NHL. Last night, one of our players got his first night playing on ice for the Florida Panthers. So that's actually pretty cool to watch that. That happened to be my son's girlfriend's favorite player from when he was here in our town. They've been following him. They got his jerseys and stuff. So it was pretty cool. They were watching him on TV and getting to see him play on the big stage for the NHL. And the coach for the Panthers actually said that they would have called him up earlier in the season, but he was injured, so they couldn't. But now that he's healthy, they pulled him up, and he's actually playing in the NHL, which is pretty cool. Morning, Bryce, basically. And then my team, my NHL team, the Vegas Golden Knights, finally won another game last night. They've been struggling this year. They're still in the playoff hunt. Their division that they're in is actually one of the only division that doesn't have the brackets set yet, or at least as of last night. I'm scrolling on the NHL site, going to look at the standings just to see what's going on with that now. So, like the Eastern Conference, the Atlantic, and the Metropolitan, they've got one regular season that's not set yet. It's actually be one wild card. But So there's still one for that whole Eastern Conference. Well, and as of last night, the Vegas Golden Knights and the Edmonton Oilers and the Utah Mammoth have secured playoff spots in the uh, Western. So there's one more spot, two more spots available in the Western and one in the Eastern. So yesterday afternoon in the uh, Pacific, the Knights, the Oilers, the Ducks and Mammoth, and the Kings and the Predators are all within a point of being eliminated or or winning their division. So it's actually coming together. And yes, I do. I like hockey. It's such an exciting sport. Get rid of that. Brian and John are talking back and forth. Hey, Uncle Willie, good morning. How are you doing this morning? It's nice to see you again. Terry, good morning. You're back cleaning out the freezer today. Yeah. Gotta get rid of all that junk out of there. You know, all the sad diet stuff. That really needs to go. I did my little experiment this morning with my exogenous ketones again. I had the same breakfast. I had the same everything, except for the only difference was the type of ketone I took this morning. I took the ketone IQ and tested 45 minutes after taking it, and ketone IQ didn't do as well as the Dr. Boz ketone salts, which I was actually pretty surprised at. So with the Dr. Boz salts, my ketones went up 0.8. With the ketone IQ, I actually went down 0.2. Same meal, same time frame. Everything was the same. It's just it didn't work out like I thought it was going to. And then yesterday evening, I did the same thing with the other ketone powder that I have. I took that and my ketones went up 0.6 on that one compared to before I took the exogenous ketones. So the two powder salts seem to do better, but we'll see how that goes here in just a little bit. I actually ran out of test strips. They were supposed to be delivered today, and now Amazon's saying it might be delivered tomorrow. But they're here in town. They got here in town at the same time as another package I have from Amazon. One says today and one says tomorrow. So I don't know if I'll get them today or not. Hey, good morning, Aaron. Amy, good morning. How are you doing today? It's nice to see you here. Aaron saying hi to the guys and Amy. And Amy says, I like hockey. You're a fan of the biggest Golden Knights and the Blues. Awesome. I've been watching the Golden Knights since they started in the league, mainly because of Fleury. I really like Marc-Andre Fleury. He was one hell of a goalie, and I think he got a raw deal with Pittsburgh when they let him go. But that got me watching the Golden Knights, and big fan of the Golden Knights. I've been watching them since their inaugural season, and they had an amazing first start for a season. The only team that's ever gone on their inaugural season to the championship game, and I strongly believe they got screwed in that game. Terry says hi to everybody, and Aaron says, go Sabres, right? The Sabres are having a really good end of the year run. So they're going to be tough to beat this year going through this. As long as don't listen, Terry. As long as it's not a Canadian team that wins, I'm good with it. I give my Canadian friends a hard time about that because the Canadian team hasn't won the Stanley Cup since, what is it, 93 or something like that? It's been a long time since a Canadian, or is it 2003? It's a long time since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. And I just like to give my Canadian friends and coworkers that I have a hard time about that because I can. And more people are saying good morning. Amy says I was out in Vegas their first year when they were in the Stanley Cup. That had to be an exciting time when they were out there. Right. Yes, it was. Yeah, Brian says finally got his replacement strips for his Keto Mojo. Crazy expensive. Yeah, they are. And I even went to the Keto Mojo website and looked at that, and you can actually buy just the ketone strips from the Keto Mojo website. You can't do it on Amazon, but they're not much cheaper than buying the combo pack with the blood and the ketone test strips. Still about the same price. It's just crazy. I can't wait for there is a new CGM that's coming out, or CKM, continuous ketone monitor. And where is that at? I've got a bookmarked here. I'm waiting for that to come out because I actually want to buy that and try it. SIBO, SIBIO. Yeah, they look crazy expensive. It's not available in the US and Canada yet. They are expected to be launching in the US soon. It's available in the UK, Australia, Ireland, Netherlands, Germany, and Asia. It's actually I think this is coming out of Singapore, is what I read on here. But it's just like the CGMs, but it's a CKM. It's a continuous ketone monitor. And the coach Juliet actually got to try one of them. They sent her one to wear for a 2-week period, and she got to test it out and see. I'm very jealous because I would have loved to have had that. Right now, I actually have on a Lingo and a Stello. I have one on each arm so I can compare the two. And from what I'm finding, it's still the same as what it was a year ago when I was trying them both out. Aaron says, I would say it's easier now for expansion teams to make and do well in the playoffs. I agree. They're getting a much better field of people to pick from than what they used to get when they expanded a team. They can't. The teams that are in the league when it's being expanded don't get to keep as many of the really good players as they used to. And that's one of the reasons why the Penguins let Fleury go, is they had a different goalie that they thought at the time was doing better, and that Mark was having some trouble, so they let him go. And big mistake in my opinion. But you know, who am I? I'm not one of those people that makes millions of dollars. Aaron says he's rooting for McDavid. Not an Oilers fan, but McDavid deserves better. Yeah, Connor McDavid is actually a really good player, and he's done an amazing job for the Oilers. I will say that. Terry says, "What? My team sucks. I'm not a Leaf fan." Yeah, Toronto didn't do a very good job this year, but next year you never know what's going to happen. Hey, Vampire. Good morning. How are you doing in Cali? It's been we're in April now, so it's been 9 months since I've been in California. My wife and I were in California this last summer in July. We're in the Anaheim area for about a week. So it was kind of nice to be away from here. We drove from North Dakota to California. It's actually not a bad drive. My wife won't fly, but it was nice to get back there, spend a couple of days there, and then leave. When we did leave, we made a slight detour heading out of California, and we stopped in Kingman, Arizona, and met up with a carnivore guy there. David. They had the Keto Carnivore Bakery, and they have since closed the bakery down due to family issues, where they'd rather spend their time raising their kids than running a business that requires so much attention. Sad, but they had a really good stuff there. John says my nephew played for the Chicago Wolf. He didn't go with Blackhawks because of politics. One of his coaches was Stan Mikita. He was going to go to the Olympics, but got injured. Yeah, I had a nephew that played hockey in high school and stuff, and he was actually pretty good, but never did anything after that. Uncle Willie says he quit testing because of the cost. Yeah, the cost can get expensive with testing. Um, my wife's type 2 diabetic, so we still test. That's one of our priorities, is to watch our blood sugars and glucose, and then the ketones. One of the things I'm trying to experiment with is to see if the exogenous ketones help her with her blood sugars. So we're going to be testing that on her. The Ketone IQ drink, it's a pre-mixed drink. It's only 2-ounce shot, and it's a very strong taste. It can be very bitter. She does not like that one bit. She won't do that again. But the 2 raspberry lemonade ones that we got, one's NAT, and I can't tell you what the brand is, but it's a ketone OS is what they call it, ketone operating system. And the Dr. Boz raspberry lemonade, they're the ketone salts. You just mix them with 8 to 16 ounces of water, however strong you can take it. She doesn't mind those 2 drinks. Those are actually pretty good. So experiment with her and see if it helps her with her blood glucose and help her get her ketones up. Aisha, great. Good morning. How are you doing today? It's nice to see you here. Brian says it's better to buy both at the same time. It's a better deal, yeah, to get the ketone and glucose. I wear a CGM, so you can save it. So it's only like $5 difference between buying the combo pack and buying just the ketone strips. So, and it also helps me to verify that my CGM is accurate, because I'll test my blood and check my CGM. Let's see. Bryce says the Rangers here won the cup in '94 against Calgary. Islanders last beat Edmonton in '83. That's our New York hockey history. Yep. And I like the Rangers. They got some good players on that team. Never really been a fan of the Islanders. And Edmonton, well, John says I get my test strips, Keto Mojo. I tried eBay and Amazon. Had too many faulty strips. Really? I haven't had any faulty strips. Actually, no, I take that back. I think I've only had maybe 1 or 2 that I had issues with, and that was just basically when take the blood into it. Yeah, good morning. It's Brian. I'm starting an extended sardine fast, 21-day, and go from there. I'm going to document everything with pictures, looking forward to it. I'm really interested in that, Brian, because that's a 21-day sardine fast. It's very interesting. You're going to track your ketones and your glucose to chart that, so you can have the information to show what you're doing. And are you taking any MCT oils with that? I know Dr. Boz, they do have their MCT oil that you can take, and it's the gel cap where it's got the liquid inside of it, or whatever it is. Those are pretty potent. And hers, the Dr. Boz ones, are the C8 and C10 version of the MCT oil that your liver uses to make the ketones with easier. Aaron says he lives about 90 minutes from Toronto. They spend other of money when I sell Toronto blue tickets. Yeah, Toronto and Buffalo. Aisha. Yep. All right. I'll get it right soon. Have I tested my ketones with level of different fats instead of exogenous ketones? I test my ketones all the time. So I do. I haven't sat down and figured out if fat from a ribeye versus fat from ground beef is better, or fat from bacon and eggs, or uh, chicken wings, or anything like that. But I check my ketones quite often, and I got a long list of stuff for my ketones on that. But as some of the stuff that I've been looking through with AI, Uncle Willie, is the ketogenic state and having higher ketones while sleeping, and the metabolic recovery that your brain has and your body has with a higher elevated ketones. And some of the stuff that I've seen so far indicates that you have a much better uh, recovery, and your brain does a lot better when you have elevated ketones when you go to bed. So if you were to take the exogenous ketones before going to sleep, as long as it's not one that has a caffeine base in it or caffeine in it at all, your mind heals better and your body heals better with an elevated ketones at night. And one of the ways to get elevated ketones at night would be to take an exogenous ketone before going to bed. They last between 3 to 6 hours, depending upon which one you're looking at. So that'd be, half to three quarters of your night of sleep for most people. And for me, if they lasted 6 hours, that'd be my whole night of sleep with elevated ketones. And no, why not? If it can help to heal and help my mind, help my body, help your heart, is the ketones cross the blood-brain barrier without any assistance from insulin, unlike glucose. And your heart actually uses the ketones better, and your heart prefers ketones over glucose for any healing that it's doing too. So it's just different things that I'm trying to look at to see what happens when I do use the exogenous ketones. And one of them is just see what the levels are, and I want to see if it helps my wife with her glucose. John says we'll use my ketone strips when I'm fasting to make sure I don't go into ketoacidosis again. But that's when I was on the drug called Jardiance. Yes, you, as a diabetic, you do have to be concerned with that. If you're taking exogenous insulin or metformin or anything like that, you do have to be aware of what your ketones are so that you don't go into ketoacidosis. And there are some of the diabetic medications, sulfona, is it SGLT2 or something like that, that in a ketogenic diet can put a regular person into ketoacidosis. And so you do have to watch out what you're doing. If you're trying to use one of these drugs for weight loss and you go into a ketogenic diet where you're not eating the carbohydrates, it can really mess with you. And you do have to pay attention to your ketones while you're doing this stuff. Brian says, a while back, I had some MCT oil too late, made me sick. I wanted to take it since. Yeah, I get that. But my ketones are good right now. If ketone gets low, then he'll take some more. I get that, and I would too. I When I did the MCT oil from Dr. Boz, I didn't notice a difference in how I was doing when I was taking it. So to me, it was at the time it's not worth it. So I don't know. Maybe taking the exogenous ketones and the MCT oil, maybe that will help. I don't know. That might be another layer for this here experiment that I'm doing to see if that will help, especially with my wife. Aaron says I only check my ketones when I'm on a fast and sardine fast. There's some days I check it in the afternoons when I'm doing like OMAD just to see where my ketones are. Sometimes I can feel when my ketones elevate, and it's like, what's going on? And I let me check my ketones, and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 hours before I go home and eat, my ketones all of a sudden jumping up above 2 is something that's kind of strange, and I don't know why it does it, but I can feel it when it does that. Yeah, I got to read the second part down here real quick. All right. Amy says, when I was fasting, my ketones got so high I couldn't sleep. And that is one of the things that happens when people, how long into your fasting and how long into a carnivore diet were you when that happened, Amy? Because when I first started carnivore and my ketones were starting to go up, I had a hard time sleeping. And there were a lot of nights where 5 hours of sleep and I was wide awake. So I'd get up and I'd do what I had to do and get ready for work. Uncle William was saying I was just thinking about butter, tallow, MCT oil versus okay. Yeah, I actually I can tell you that if I have real butter, um, like the Kirkland brand butter, the Kerrygold butter, and the generic Our Family butter, which is our generic store butter, my ketones will go up if I have those. And from what I've seen, it actually came up better than the MCT oil that I've tried before. But if I have the Walmart version of their just regular Walmart brand butter, um, my ketones go down and my blood sugars go up. So to me, and I don't know this, I don't know, they've got something sketchy in their butter. My wife and I, and you can taste the difference. Both my wife and I have said that this is not the same as just the regular Our Family butter. There's something in here. So, I do watch it and I do pay attention to it. But tallow and MTC oil, just having tallow and bacon fat don't really affect any of my ketones too much. But I don't eat just straight tallow or anything like that. I do eat just straight butter, and but the exogenous ketones so far in the last 2 days, depending upon which one I've had, have increased my ketones by 0.6 to a 0.8, and that's after 45 minutes. So I don't know. I'm still looking at it, still experimenting. I got to experiment with my wife to see what happens with hers. Brian, you said hi in the other window. You can't see the chat over there. Yep. And put that on there. I can put this on. You see all the comments, I think. Wow. Takes just a minute for it to pop up. Yeah. Aisha says hi to Brian. John says, I don't think MCT oils are worth it. There's not much benefit to them. For some people, I agree, John. it doesn't really do anything to them. For others, it depends upon your metabolic health and how your body's using them. About 24 hours in 5 months, but I was strict keto for 8 years before carnivore. So, were you tracking ketones when you were eating keto, Amy? And how much how much more elevated was it when you were doing your fast on the carnivore that your ketones went up high enough that they bothered your sleep? Is it, like I said, 5 months into my carnivore and fasting and getting my ketones up, yeah, I had issues sleeping. Now, after coming up on 20 months now, I don't have issues sleeping even with high elevated ketones. My last extended fast where I went just over 90 hours, my ketones were above 3, and that was some of the best sleep I've had. So I'm actually doing better sleeping now, being this far into carnivore and having high ketones during a fast than I did when I first started. And I think it's the body getting used to it and the mind getting used to having it. There's so much healing. And people think that when you go to sleep, your mind shuts down and that's where it just, rests. That's one of the most active times for your mind. That's when your brain actually does the most healing is when you're sleeping, and it's extremely active. And Brian says a lot of stuff I would love to try it, but it's just too expensive for me. But I was working, uh, but when I was working, no problem on any of that stuff. Then I got sick and all that changed. Now I do workarounds, right? I understand that because a lot of this stuff is expensive. The test strips, the exogenous ketones are not cheap. In fact, I kicked myself for even trying this other one here because it's basically the same stuff that Dr. Boz has, but it was twice the price of the Dr. Boz stuff. So, and um, the Dr. Boz keto salts seem to have a better punch than the other powder does for twice the price. So you do have to pay attention to the cost of stuff. And if you can afford something, try it. If not, there's other things that you can do. You just have to figure out what. Yeah, Terry, there is. You're on the vertical, which is mainly for the phone. There's also the regular window. If you look at the stream, you see like at the title, it shows like a little phone on your screen. That's the vertical version, which is meant for phones. There's one more that's like the regular computer version, and that's where people are talking at right now too. So yeah, I can see in the vertical right now there are 4 people, and then in the other one there's 9. So it does. I generally go to when I go to live streams if they have both of these on, I will go to both of them at some point and just hit the like button just to do it and just to see what's going on with both of them. As Aisha's over there, Brian was over there, Terry. I I read it right and didn't even realize that you spelt that wrong. Amy says, "No, I never started tracking ketones when you did keto." Yep, you didn't need to. You lost 110 pounds, reversed 8 conditions on keto alone. I never felt the need to chase ketones. I started doing it when I became a coach. Okay, yeah, and see, I've always just wanted to see where my body was healing the best at. And that's why I'm doing the experiment with the two CGMs to see where that puts me, checking the my ketones and seeing the exogenous, see if my body does any better. As long as I'm eating uh, a carnivore way where I'm not eating carbohydrates and I'm not spiking my insulin, because I don't care if my glucose really spikes. I want to make sure my insulin doesn't. It'd be really nice to be able to have something that check that, and you could watch your insulin rather than your glucose, because that's a better metabolic marker. But that'd be really cool if I could track that. Terry says, I got sardines today. Going to try for a few days. What kind of sardines did you get, Terry? I've tried a bunch of them, and Aaron, he did a bunch of different ones. He did some videos with the different varieties of sardines and which ones actually taste better. And but just the cheapest ones that you can get, as long as they don't have the seed oils in them, are actually pretty good. And adding hot sauce of your choice, as long as it's a clean hot sauce and doesn't have maltodextrin in it, or some decent mustard in them, really helps when you're doing a sardine fast. And Brian says they absolutely love Amy's energy. If you could do coaching, it would be, yeah. Amy's great. She's got a lot of energy, and that's why I enjoy watching her channel. And she's just very energetic. That is true. And she's got a lot of good knowledge out there. And John says, anymore, I just use fasting to adjust my ketone levels. The ketone are low, you don't eat, right? And that's one way to do it. It's as long as like if you're using a keto mojo and you test your glucose, if your glucose is at a level and your ketones are at a 0.5 or below, it tells you that you're not in ketosis or GKI ketosis. But I feel as long as you have a measurable amount of ketones, your body's doing good, because your body will use those ketones to help. And being at a zero point 0.3 to a 0.8 in the mornings, that's generally where I am. I don't mind that. To me, it's as long as I have ketones, I'm doing good. Absolutely, Brian. Bryce, basically, I completely understand, Brian. I went through medical bankruptcy when I became disabled. The good news is I'm mostly healed now, and I was able to do it intuitively, listening to your body. And being able to do that is a huge plus to everything, because like I myself, I did not start getting my leptin signal telling me I was full until February of this year. So the first 18 months I did my carnivore diet, I never had a signal telling me I was full. And that was obvious on days where I would eat up to 4 pounds of meat in a day. And my wife would look at me and ask me, aren't you stuffed? And I'm like, no, not at all. But I could eat it. And I never felt stuffed. I never felt full, never really felt satisfied. But prior to being on carnivore, when I did insanity and I lost a lot of weight doing that, I ended up having heart surgery. But I used to track everything. So I knew basically how to track and how to get the right amount for what my body needed for calories. Switching to a carnivore diet, I stopped watching the calories specifically. I still paid attention to them, but I watched the calories from fat and the calories from protein. And I found that for me, when I was eating about 75% of my calories from fat and only 25% of my calories from protein, that's where my body did the best. That's where my blood pressure just dropped out and I got off all my blood pressure medications. At that level, that's where my body did the best, and I lost most of my weight was when I was eating that. I could slow it down, my weight loss, if I increased my fat too high to like 80 to 85% of my calories from fat, or if I went too low, below 60% of my calories from fat, my weight loss would shut off. And I did that in March, April, May of last year because I was kind of scared about what was happening when I was losing over 100 pounds of weight. The last time I lost a lot of weight, I ended up having heart surgery and I didn't want to have to go through that again. So, yeah, and eating intuitively for some people just doesn't work. Luckily for Bride's Biscuit, it worked for him. A lot of people are metabolically broken like me, and I didn't get that signal until this last February. Now, was it a coincidence that I got that at the same time that I finished a 7-day fast? It could be. It could have been the fast. It could have been my body finally healed. It could have been a combination of the carnivore diet and fasting. But something in the first week of February finally kicked in, and I'm getting that leptin signal now. So now I can eat, and the meat all of a sudden doesn't taste as good as it did, 2 minutes ago. And I'm like, okay, that's my signal. It tells me that I'm full and I'm good. And I've left stuff on my plate, which is unusual for me. John says on my 20-day fasting, my ketones will get up to 10. That's amazing. I've never had I think 5.8 is the highest I've seen my ketones go. And that was just on a 5-day fast. Even when I did my 7-day fast, my ketones never went up that high. But when I did that 7-day fast, I also had 2 infections in my mouth. And those 2 abscesses, one on the front here and one on the back here, the abscess will keep your blood sugars high. So that also keeps your ketones from kicking up too much. I was just wondering what's going to happen the next time I do a 7-day fast, see what my ketones go up to. Yeah, outstanding. It really is. It's really nice to see that. Right? And Brian says, you go, Terry. Want to do a 21-day sardine fast with him? Bridesmaid says, honestly, I was very lucky. I have no sensitivities like dairy or histamines. Animal proteins while canceling all carbs worked for you. I couldn't have done grass-fed or strict ruminant. Yep. Aaron, still doing videos. The pricey ones do taste better, but not realistic all the time. Yeah, they're not realistic for doing a extended sardine fast. That can get way expensive. Bryce basically says, I understand. Remember, I never got a ghrelin signal. It was hard getting enough nutrition for the longest time while food noise from addiction interfered as well. Right. And seeing some people, the ghrelin, which is the hunger signal, doesn't happen. Some people, the leptin signal that says you're full and satiated doesn't happen. And there are other hormones that get really messed up on the standard American diet, and it's just terrible. Gary, too expensive for me. What would be too expensive for you, Gary? Can you elaborate just a little bit on that? And good morning. But that was food noise. I was never sardine hungry. Addiction was and still is a play. Yeah, that's how you know when you're really, truly hungry is when sardines sound good. But to me, I like sardines. So sardines always sound good to me. That's always a nice snack. Uncle Willie says, I'm about 40 pounds overweight, but I'm doing maintenance for now. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes the body needs time to heal and to just be normal again. And that's one of the things that I got from Bryce Biscuit, and it's helped me by him sharing is I'm good now losing 1 to 2 pounds a month. It doesn't bother me that if I don't lose a lot of weight. I understand that my body's doing a lot of healing and it's going to take time. I abused my body for 57 years before finding this way of eating because I listened to the recommended way for us to eat. It's going to take time to lose the weight. It's going to take time to heal the body. I had some major healing going on to begin with that helped me tremendously. I came off of 5 blood pressure medications in 6 weeks. That was before I lost a whole lot of weight. I might have lost 20 pounds in that time. I was still well over 300 pounds when I came off of all my medications. So it's really cool what this way of eating can do and how fast it can start to heal your body. That's to me, it's one of the things that the ketones do help you do too, because ketones don't only give you energy, they're also a signaling hormone that tells your body different things. So it really helps to have your ketones working like they should. And one of the things to get your ketones up is to have the proper fat in your diet and to eliminate the carbs. Brian says, I think you have to get your head right and treat everything like a tool. If you don't take care of the tools, they will rust and not work. That's a good analogy, Brian. I like that. You're right. And that's, but you can also overuse some of the tools that you have. Like one of the tools that I think I've been overusing recently is fasting because I've had trouble fasting the last month and a half because of weather, or is it because I'm not eating enough? So I was going to do alternate day fasting the rest of this month after I did that 4 day fast. My body's not liking that idea, so I'm probably not going to do that. In fact, right now, I got a big old steak sitting in my on my counter, salted, just waiting for 4 or 5 hours to throw on my smoker and smoke it for a while, and then open up the sear on that, crank up the temperature, and sear it on there so I can have a beautiful 2.5 pound bone-in ribeye. Now, I am going to share that with my wife. She looked at that this morning. I asked her if she wanted some of it, and she was like, "That sounds good." She likes a ribeye, nice and tender, easy to eat. Gotta love it, right, Brian? Sardines are the best. I do like sardines, and so many people don't like them. They have a bad idea of what sardines are, but they're actually really not a bad food to have. Bryce basically says dopamine, serotonin. Yeah, you're using a bunch of big words there for me, Bryce Biscuit. Neuropernephrine, is that what it is? And others where I play with you. So intuitive required some careful listening. And that's one of the things that it took me a long time to figure out how to listen to my body and to figure out what my body was going to be doing for me. It's just kind of crazy at times how your body can maneuver everything that's going on and figuring all this stuff out. You know what I mean? Oh, let's see. Bridesmaid says, I love sardines, Ashley, and herring, mackerel, clams, oysters, mussels, just about any tin fish. Yeah, they're not bad. The one thing I didn't like, 1 second here. The one that I didn't really care for, what the heck was it? Anchovies. I can do herring, I can do mackerel, clams, oysters, mussels, but the anchovy, I that to me is just not a palatable for me. It's just I did not like that at all. Brian says learning how to read the signals and how this body works and doesn't work is the key. I have just I just have to find the right door that the key works in. And that's true. And sometimes when you can't find it, asking people like in this chat here or in any other chat, asking the right question in a group like this here or in Carnivore Quest or getting with a coach like Coach Amy can help you to unlock that because sometimes that person outside of what you're doing sees something that you don't, and it makes a big difference. Yeah, 100%. Bryce Best, I prefer all fish to beef. Even you're a strange carnivore. I know. Blame my Nordic heritage, and yes, I love anchovies. Oh, those are disgusting. Now, I actually talked to a guy on X, Bryce Biscuit, and he is like you. He preferred all the seafoods, um, the fatty fish and goat milk and stuff like that over ruminant meats. And he has had amazing healing by eating a ketogenic style diet. I think he still does do some other stuff, but yeah, you're not the only one that I know out there that prefers the fish to beef. There are quite a few people out there that actually thrive on that because of the way their ancestors were, you know. And I do really well on fish myself. I just prefer beef, and that's probably goes back to my Nordic ancestry as well, because my family is Norwegian, Swedish, and Bohemian. If you don't know where Bohemia is, that's actually the Czech Republic, and that is a beautiful country if you've ever been there. If you ever get a chance to go to the Czech Republic, some amazing countryside, amazing people. Bridesmaid says I could easily eat only seafood, but I can't afford 90% of it. So it's mostly chicken and pork for me with some beef and tin fish. Right. And that's the sad thing is that there are so many, it's so expensive for some stuff like the fish, unless you live next to some place where you can go fishing and catch uh, fish daily, buying it from a store is expensive. But being able to go out to a lake or to the ocean or wherever and catching your own and being able to catch enough to feed you, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Brian says dogmatic behavior destroys everything. Learning to overcome, adapt, and grow is a blessing. Knowledge is king. Listen, learn, and grow. And yes, I think that's what happens with a lot of new people when they first come into the carnivore space and they get tremendous healing. They want everybody just to do what they're doing, and they don't know a whole lot about the carnivore diet or carnivore way of eating and what it all entails. But that's where a lot of the dogma comes from is people, their minds are in the right place. They want to help people, but the way they go about it is just not right. And that happens a lot. I know Dustin was talking about that today and in his live this morning. That's Keto Simple. He was talking about that this morning too. You know, everybody has to find their own way. Will carnivore help? I think it'll help most people. If nothing else, it as an elimination diet to get rid of the poison in their body, and then they can add stuff back in to find out what works for them and what doesn't. And if you can eat vegetables and you can eat uh, fruits and stuff like that, and you don't have issues with it, and you find the ones that are causing you issues and you eliminate them, then this is great. It's great for your body. I still have a lot of healing because I damaged my body for so long. I don't plan on going back to any of those for quite a while. And honestly, for me, there's not a vegetable out there that I miss. There's not a fruit out there that I miss. I really don't care if I ever have them again. Will I at one time have something? I might. I don't know. But right now, that answer is no because I still have way too much healing for my body to do. But if I can help somebody figure out that if they eliminate all the plants for 30, 60, 90 days, and then they can add stuff back in one at a time once a week just to see how it affects them, then yeah, that I'll help anybody do that. And whether they want to eat a carnivore, keto, or whatever, as long as they eliminate the processed foods, I think it'll be good. Bryce basically says my favorite ruminant meat that I've tried is lamb. It's not even close, really. See, my favorite ruminant meat would have to be elk, um, and not an elk from an elk farm. I'm talking about somebody that goes out and does a hunting and bags their own elk, and that is absolutely amazing. So it's one of those really nice things to eat. It's got such a amazing flavor to it. I really like that. Jojo says what I miss is chocolate, not veggies or fruit. Well, Jojo, there are some things out there that have the coca that you can have, and if you've been on a carnivore diet long enough, you can try the coca without the sweeteners in it to see if that works. Um, One of the things that I found for my wife was the I think, keto brick. Um, Robert Sykes on X, that's where I know him from. He's the founder of Keto Brick. They have two of them that are carnivore friendly. One is a cake pop, and the other one is a primal fudge. They do have some carbs in it from wherever they put in there, but it's not much. The whole bar is like 1,000 calories, but the fudge one has a really good flavor to it. My wife loves it, and it has not affected our blood sugars. I actually put it into carnivore ice cream for her, and it's really good. You didn't get the email. Well, I'm gonna have to look at that again because that. Where's my email? Yeah, this shows I sent you it. What the heck? Huh. All right. After this here, I'll break it down. I'll send you fewer pictures at a time to see if that's maybe just too many. Because it was 16 pictures, and it didn't tell me that was too many. Didn't tell me that it didn't send. So I will go through and I'll break them down and send them to you again, John. Brian says most definitely. I was like that when you first started because I was so excited, right? Now you practice gratitude and let people do their thing. If they want to go on my bus, they are welcome. Absolutely. And that's one of the best things. And it takes us some time to learn that. I know it took me time. I couldn't believe people, once they found out about this, weren't diving in head first on this because I felt so great when I first started this way of eating. And it's just amazing. Jojo says my granddaughter's birthday is today, and she's having a gelato birthday cake. That's amazing. But now, if you get something like the COA, the coca that's unsweetened, and you can mix it in with the heavy cream. And if your body does good, you can use the stevia or the allulose and make your own ice cream and make it chocolate like that. But like the keto brick, we shave that up and it's actually really good. And I have no sponsorship or anything. I just it's something I use. So Bridesmaids says I have no reason at this point to go back to any carbs. You'll consider it if you have a reason. Yeah, and the only time I have anything that has carbs in is like with the keto brick is when my wife wants to share it with me because I buy stuff for her because she still wants that variety. And I'll try it. I'll have some of it, but I generally try to let her eat most of it. Bryce Biscuit says I'd love to try elk, just beef and lamb so far. I feel the taste is tied to my heritage. I bet we ate things like reindeer, right? Reindeer meat. That would be something else I would like to try. I would like to try reindeer meat. Brian says, Jojo, look at the oxalate and leptins. There are a lot of things you can do. Yeah, you want to try the keto brick? The keto brick, it's kind of expensive. It's on the same price as the as a carnivore bar, but you get it's 1,000 calories instead of 400. And what I've done for my wife is I'll slice off just like a 16th of an inch of the bar, and that's a treat. You know, the keto brick will last us for a couple of weeks, just doing stuff like that, and then crumbling it up and put it into her carnivore ice cream. And really, it gives her something to look forward to. Brian says, look at Chris Cooks in Nashville, a ketogenic woman group. Yeah, they've got some good groups out there. There's a lot of good groups that you can get involved in um, that do this kind of stuff, you know. Oh, John says his storage was full. Okay. Bridesmaid said, I don't feel the need to sing carnivore praises. So once I suffer from mental health and I don't talk to people, as I heal, I learn about meeting people where they're at, Dustin. Yep. And you knew better. Right. And it's actually pretty cool to be able to find people like Dustin. Dustin's a really unique person. I really like Dustin and his channel. He's got a really good head on his shoulders and he does a really good job connecting with people. Katz has been carnivore 2 years now. In the beginning, you incorporated a few keto things like tomatoes, almond flour, making garlic bread. However, you've eliminated them now and you cut cheese out as well. It's a great way to learn how to do stuff, isn't it, Katz? Cutting out cheese, that casomorphine is very addicting. And depending upon the cheese, your body can have a glucose spike depending upon which cheese you're eating. For me, when I eat like the hard cheeses, like Parmesan or those really hard brick cheeses that they have, and you have to shred it, I don't have any response to that. And was it the Guire cheese? That's a raw cheese. I haven't had any issues with that, so it's actually really cool when you find something that works like that. His biscuit says Dustin is rare and unique. He is. I really enjoy listening to Dustin and his views. I know this morning he was concerned that the way he was talking and his opinion was going to turn some people off, but it's actually refreshing to hear from somebody that's been on this way of eating for that long. And it helps new people to learn that you can't be so dogmatic about this stuff. Kat says, I'm a 75-year-old female, feel amazing, no meds, no cravings, walk every day, and lift 6 out of 7 days. That is amazing. That is really good to hear, Cats. And 75 years old and no meds. That is truly amazing. You are a rare person out there right now because most 75-year-olds are on a ton of different medications because they stick to a standard American diet, and that's what it does for them. I was one of them. I was on 5 blood pressure medications before I started carnivore. And that's actually why I started my carnivore journey, was for my blood pressure. On 5 medications, and my blood pressure wasn't getting any better. It was still high. Sorry. Refreshing my coffee. Because it was starting to get cold, and I got a thermos of coffee sitting right here. So, but that's having been on so many medications. Now, the 5 blood pressure meds, that was the main reason why I started this carnivore diet. I was also supposed to be taking a statin. I was supposed to be taking a fish oil. Um, there were altogether, I should have been on something like 15 medications, is what my doctor prescribed for me. And I was 57 years old. I was only taking 5 of them. The statins that they prescribed for me, and there were 2 different statins I was supposed to be taking, they caused me extreme pain, and I could not take them. It was just crazy. And then all the stuff that goes with it, because as you take one medication, you have side effects. Then they gave you a pill for that side effect. Instead of finding the root cause of why my blood pressure was so elevated and getting rid of that root cause, which happened to be for me, is carbohydrates. Once I got rid of them, I came off of everything. Even my allergy medication that I've been taking for 30 years, after 6 weeks on the carnivore diet, I don't take that anymore. So that is truly amazing for me. Aisha says, you like Dustin and Chandra. They're refreshing. They are. I really like them too. Yeah. Kat says, thank you. A friend of mine is on 30 medications. Now, just imagine if they didn't have to take that 30 medications, if they didn't have to waste money going to see a doctor every few months to get those adjusted. How much money would that person save? For me, just on the medications I was supposed to be taking, it was a tremendous savings. I'm not going to give a number, but it's a triple digit number of savings where every month that I don't have to spend on medications. Now, the carnivore way of eating also helped me to stop drinking alcohol. It helped me stop chewing tobacco. I chewed Copenhagen for over 45 years, and I stopped it without any issues. Well, I weaned down on it while using a nicotine pouch. So I used both of them for 2 months. Then I stopped chewing Copenhagen while I continued the nicotine pouch. And I did the nicotine pouch for a month and then stopped that. And I had no problems with it. It's a tremendous amount of savings between the alcohol, the tobacco, and my medications. That's not even mentioning the doctor's visits, on how much money I saved by not having to go to the doctor. I haven't been to the doctor since October of 2024. I haven't needed to go. Brian says, meeting all the wonderful people here has been a blessing. Helped save my life. Friendship is a gift. YouTube, Facebook has been great. The more the better on the bus, and everyone is welcome, and they are. And whether you're keto, carnivore, vegan, vegetarian, even a standard American diet, if you come into these live streams and come into these videos and interact with the people, you'll get a better understanding of what's going on. And a lot of people are learning from just doing this kind of stuff, which is truly amazing. Kat says some people are faking meds to combat the side effects of other medications they're on. It's a vicious cycle. It is. They're taking meds to combat. Yeah. And that's one of the things that, see, my blood pressure medications, each of my blood pressure medications had a slight side effect. And that slight side effect on each one of them for me was weight gain. When I started taking my first blood pressure medications, I was probably between 245 and 250. So I was overweight, but I carry it very well at that weight. So I don't look like I'm actually considered to be obese at that weight, which is crazy because even right now, at my current weight, I'm considered to be overweight, but I am not that big. I don't think anyway. But each of my blood pressure medications had the slight side effect of weight gain. I went from 245, 250 pounds to 347 pounds on those medications in about 3.5 years. I could not lose weight. Nothing I was doing would help me lose weight. I could starve myself and I gained weight. Nothing worked. Now, I was following my doctor's advice and I was eating more plants and more fiber and cutting out the fatty red meats and eating lean meats and stuff like that. And it just didn't work for me. So, but each of the medications I was given had its side effects. Each of the medications had different medications to combat the side effects, except for nobody gave me anything to help me lose weight, especially not proper advice. And that was never an option. And Naisha says it's a vicious cycle, Kat. It is. Brisbane says this community is indeed a blessing. It is. It is so nice to have people that support one another when we're doing this kind of stuff and to let us know that we're not crazy for just eating the meat and cutting out all this other garbage that we don't really need. You know, would I say a carnivore diet, everybody needs to do it? I would say everybody needs to try it for 30 days to see what benefit they have and if it's worth them staying on it. But if you're somebody that can eat the fruits and vegetables and processed foods and all that, and you're not having any issues right now, well, you're lucky because the majority of us can't. And we're seeing it in younger and younger kids. They're giving these GLP-1 medications to children now because of their overweight and they're diabetic, and it's not good. We're seeing more and more young people getting these illnesses that aren't meant for them. They shouldn't be dealing with it. Yeah. Aisha says, good for you, Kat, for being med free. It is such a blessing to be able to go through life without having to take medications. And Kat says, thanks. And that's one of the things where the money that I save for not being on medications, for not drinking, not chewing, and not seeing the doctor, I save a portion of that. And that money is what I use to experiment with my exogenous ketones. It's what I use to buy my test strips. It's what I use to make my car payment. So yeah, I save a lot of money by not taking medications. And I save a lot of money by eating just the meat and not having to buy all this other garbage that goes with it. Uh, Brian says, dogmatic is a death nail in every aspect of your life. A hard no to dogmatic. I learned and grow as a human. Yeah, we all need to. Yeah. Bryce basically says, I was at end stage. The last 10 years, I never even tried to lose weight. I just gave into it. The Lord saved me, and through carnivore and the community, I found the path and healing. And that is the truth, isn't it, Brian? It is so nice to see that. In finding this way is a blessing. It saved my life. I have no doubt about that. Um, I haven't even shown any of these today. I went from 347, almost 350 pounds like this. I was huge. You know, this picture here, that jersey is a 3XL and it's tight. I'm over 340 pounds in this picture at least. I was big. The pants I'm wearing right now on that, the waist on that pair of pants, those were size 48. Today I'm wearing a size 32. It's a huge difference. And this was taken at the end of February. That's a size large jersey, size 32 pants. It's a huge difference. And how do I get there? By eating a proper human diet: beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. See, and I got it right there. I got the beef, there's butter in there, there's the bacon, there's the eggs. BBB. Gotta love it. But I also eat stuff like this: steak and shrimp. Just, that is amazing foods there too. And then every now and then a treat. There's some buffalo wings made at home. The sauce is Frank's Red Hot and butter. That's the only thing in there. And then the uh, ranch dressing on the side, that is just sour cream and Carnivore Chef's, the Carnivore Companion, uh, what, jalapeno ranch seasoning. There's no sugars in any of this, and it's actually really good. I really enjoy it. Brian says the more people I add to my life, the better. Looking great. Thanks, Brian. It's having people show how they have grown and how they've changed through this is an amazing way to do it. People don't understand that. Yeah, I sit in here and you can look at me now and I look like I do. I'm a lot thinner than I was when I started. The people sitting out there don't know that unless I show them this picture where you can see how round my face was, how big my belly was, or this one where you can see that I'm in a scooter because I can't walk. And then compare that to this. This is me. This is, a year and a half later. It's a huge difference and a huge improvement for my life and for everything that goes on in my life. What the heck? Did I miss somebody? I do not see a Tracy in here. Brisbane says the healing I've experienced and witnessed in the space restored my faith in humanity and living the blessing we are given. The love and support I've witnessed here is more than you could ever hoped, right? And it actually is. It's really cool to be able to see what's going on with people and having them learn about what's going on with in this community. And Kat says hi to Tracy, and I don't see a Tracy in here. I don't understand. That's just different. All right. Those wings are a thing of beauty, Lance. Yeah. Franks plus butter plus wings equals win. And it is. And I actually learned that from Aaron, the carnivore guy, and Larry. They're from their videos that they've done and the way they do their wings. I had to try it, and they are amazing. Yes, Terry, we are still on, still rambling. Jester, I'm just here for quality assurance and let you know that vertical's the vertical's we outshine the horizontal in likes. Yes, and that's one of the reasons why I do this on the vertical way, because it does get more people to see it. More people will see the vertical, and that's the way YouTube pushes it out for phones. Is they push it on the vertical, and it generally gets 2 to 3 times the amount of views and likes on the vertical as the normal setting does. Yeah, I've had a tremendous amount of healing, and the weight loss is just a side effect of what has happened to my body and the way everything works now. So I love it. It's been a great way for me to live, and it's saved my life. I have no doubt that my life has been extended because of the way I'm eating, because of the way my body is healing, and a lot of that all of it has to do with the way I changed my way of eating. Yeah, Bridesmaid says we're live, Terry. We're certainly living life live. Yep. And Terry, yeah, Terry's had some great healing. Now I don't know why. Okay, now I see Tracy. Hello, I am new trying to learn. You have diverticulitis, and hopefully you can get well. Well, as a person who also has diverticulitis, Tracy, I've dealt with it myself. I was diagnosed with diverticulitis back in it was like 2002, 2003 or something like that. Um, and holy cow, did that mess my life up. I fortunately ended up having to have surgery to help repair a lot of that. Now, we're actually talking to somebody yesterday on here that has been doing a carnivore way of eating for the past 2 years that it had diverticulitis, and they have had no issues with it. It has actually helped them to heal it. The diverticulitis, the polyps, are caused by inflammation, and they are generally caused by your diet. Now, I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm just somebody that suffered from this myself. One of the ways to eliminate that whole issue with diverticulitis and any real issues in your digestive tract is to eliminate the fibers. If it's a fibrous plant, eliminate it. That's only causing you more issues. I have diverticulitis. I still have that in my medical records. I still have diverticulitis. Somebody with diverticulitis, one of the things that you shouldn't be eating is any shellfish, including shrimp. Now I eat a ton of shrimp and I don't have any issues with it. That's actually one of the things that I was eating when I found out that I had diverticulitis and that caused me a big issue was shrimp. And I can eat that now. But a carnivore diet or a strict keto diet with very low fiber to zero fiber, if you can do that, will be an amazing help. One of the things I would recommend, Tracy, would be for you to go to Dr. Ken Berry's YouTube channel and look through his videos. Search his videos for diverticulitis or gastrointestinal issues. He has thousands of videos on his channel that go over so many things. And if you don't know, Dr. Berry has been doing this for quite a few years. He's been putting out videos as a way to um, make up for his bad advice over the years, or the way he recommended people to eat and how sick people got. And became a type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic, was following his own advice that he was given to his patients, and he kept getting worse. And he was smart enough to stop, take a look at what was going on, and do the opposite, and everything changed for him. And then he ended up becoming carnivore, had great healing, and it's amazing. He has extremely good videos, and that's Dr. Ken Berry on YouTube. He's one of the best YouTube doctors out there. And he's an actual doctor in Tennessee. So it's not somebody claiming to be a doctor, but he's actually a doctor that has some really good information, really good videos. You give me just a minute here. I know I've got them on my playlist here. I just got to find them. I've got a lot of people on here. I think I follow too many people. Is that possible? Oh, Dr. Eric Berg also, he's got some amazing videos. Westman, they have some really good videos. Ken Berry MD. I don't know why it wasn't coming up on my sidebar. But if you want to learn more about what that can do for your body, I just put a link in the chat. Go to Ken Berry's channel and search. He has got some great videos. And that was one of the things that really helped me when I first started doing this. I went through Dr. Berry's videos, and I spent about 2.5 months going through his videos, Dr. Tony Hampton's videos, Eric Westman, um, so many of the carnivore doctors. I binge watched all of their videos because they had so much good information in there. And before I even did anything, and I finally said, okay, I've had enough. I got to do this. Brian says, we got it, Tracy, 100%. We got you. Yeah, that's what these communities are for. This live is to help anybody that needs help. You know, I have experience. I had diverticulitis, and I still have it in my medical records, but I haven't had an issue with it in quite a few years. But I haven't had any issues at all in the 20 months I've been doing this diet. Nothing with my guts. All right. Terry says, awesome. I can stay on all day. And Bridesbeek says that I healed from diverticulitis, as did I. So it is. This is a healing diet. The carnivore ketogenic diets are a anti-inflammation diet. They get rid of the inflammation in your body, and it helps you. Again, we're not giving you medical advice. This is just what's worked for us. And we openly share what we have healed from and how we have healed. Yeah, Bryce basically, yep, not a doctor. That's my healing story from getting rid of carbs in my cave. Brian says, I think in my head that it was a coffee that saved me, but my wife keeps telling me no. I asked for more coffee and don't know any thoughts. Well, I eliminated coffee for 9 months when I was doing this here, and one of the things that went away was my tinnitus when I eliminated coffee. When I brought coffee back in, guess what came back? My tinnitus. I do have it, but yes, it's not as bad as it was before. And the more coffee I drink, the worse it gets. So if I start getting it worse, I just cut down on my coffee again. But coffee does save you. Or as Dr. Kiltz called it, it's just bean broth. Does that make it better? You don't understand how shrimp would affect diverticulitis? It's parts of the shell remain on the flesh of the shrimp. And when the shell doesn't digest and it goes through your intestinal tract and your colon, it will slice open the polyps and make you bleed. Same thing with sunflower seeds, peanuts, um, corn, any shellfish, crab, all that really affects it. And even some of the leafy vegetables, if will actually do the same thing. And it really sucks when it starts doing that. It's very painful. Bridesmaid says, yes, the diverticulitis remains. The flare ups are well managed and in remission. Yeah. And I actually had surgery because um, I was bleeding out and I had to have emergency surgery. And they got most of it. At least I think they did. But I haven't had any issues with it in the last 20 months. That's for sure. Brian says, or Bridesmaid says, Brian, I told my doctor I wanted to quit coffee. And she said, why? I think it's okay for me. I realized I was fearing the stigma more than the symptoms or disease process. There were none, right? And you have to watch what works for you and watch what doesn't. I did. I gave up coffee for 9 months. I started it back. Oh, the other thing I have when I have coffee, there's a specific spot in my left heel that gets very painful if I have the wrong coffee. One of my favorite coffees I can't have because after 2 cups of that, I can hardly walk. But the coffee I'm drinking right now, I can drink a pot of this and I don't have any issues. So sometimes the type of coffee does matter, but sometimes it doesn't. It all depends upon the individual. You have to find your level of healing and what works for you. Absolutely, Tracy. That's what this community does. There are a lot of different live streams that happen throughout the day and through the weekends. And the majority of the carnivore people in these live streams are very helpful. We try not to bash anybody for the most part. Like we were talking earlier, the newer the person, the more dogmatic they can be, it seems, because they want everybody to have the same level of healing and how great you feel when you're doing this. And they want everybody to do it. But the vast majority of those doing this diet are extremely helpful. And that's what this weekend meeting that I do is for. We've got Dr. Kiltz was on just an hour before me. Keto Simple was on. Was Keto Simple on this morning? Yeah, Keto Simple was on this morning. Treasure Mopar Rick is on Saturdays. I mean, there's a whole bunch of us that do different meetings. Here in about half an hour, they have Carnivore Sunday School, where they have it's a 3 group panel with a guest that they go through and they talk about healing and the same kind of stuff here. This evening, Carnivore Quest will be doing a evening meeting and a live meeting for members. Carnivore Quest does it Wednesday through Saturday at 11:55 Eastern, and then Sundays at was it 5 Eastern or 6 Eastern? I can't remember. The Sundays are a different time for them. But we have a bunch of different groups out here that do these, and the majority of the people that go into these comment sections, if you ask questions, they give you experienced answers for what has worked for them. And it's actually pretty cool. It's where I learned a lot of my information from, was reading the comments in these while watching the videos. Brian says, I love coffee, my best caveman voice. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gotta love coffee. I love bulletproof coffee in the mornings. I've really never gotten into the bulletproof coffees. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it just takes more time than I have to pour a cup of coffee and go. Yisha says, I always hear about people who are addicted to coffee, and you never liked coffee. It's just like any other plant. It can cause an addiction, and it's the caffeine more than anything that causes that. If you can go caffeine free, you might be able to quit if you want to quit. I don't want to. Brian says 100% Bride's biscuit. And Terry says, I get heel pain too sometimes. I didn't think coffee could be it. But I didn't think so either. And that was actually one of the last pains I had. And when I was watching a video by Laura Spath talking about the different things that uh, affect your body for drinks and how it affects you, when she came to the point where she was talking about alcohol, that made sense to me. And I quit drinking alcohol and then figured, well, if I'm going to give up alcohol, I'm going to give up coffee too, and might as well make it one big shot, right? Within like 3 days, the last of my aches and pains went away, and the pain in my left heel was one of the pains that went away. I didn't put it on with the coffee. I put it on with everything else that was going on. My body was finally healing. I stopped drinking alcohol. I stopped drinking coffee. I stopped taking my allergy medications. I was done with my last other medications for my blood pressure, and my pain went away. It wasn't until 9 months later when I introduced my coffee again, the brand that I really liked, and within hours of having 2 cups of it, that heel pain came back when I was walking around at work, and I'm like, "What the heck? Already?" Now, I'm a glutton for punishment. The next day, I had to try it again, and within a couple hours, absolutely, that heel pain came right back, and it was not nice to me. So, I gave up coffee again for a few weeks, and the guys at the office were drinking a different brand, and I tried that, and I didn't have any issues with it. And then I tried the stuff I'm drinking now, which is it's from Dunn Brothers, Papua New Guinea, Western Highlands, and I tried that. I have no problems with that coffee, and between the two different kinds of coffee, I'm happy now because I can have my coffee and I have a little bit of tinnitus. And if I drink too much coffee, it gets worse. I just drink a cup or two less a day, and then it gets better. And it doesn't take long. Bryce Biscuit says, I like the taste of bulletproof coffee, but I try to stick to organic or fermented raw for the few plants I still consume. Low acid, mold free as possible, but it's expensive. That it is. And that's why I prefer getting the beans, whole beans, not ground, for my coffee. I can grind it myself. I've got a container I can put them in that sucks out the air, which in between uses, I get the air out of it so they don't mold. It's one of the things that happened when I was drinking ground coffee. Even the stuff that I could drink, I went to make some one day and I opened up the lid on it and I was like, whoa, that's moldy. It wasn't moldy the weekend before, but it is now. So I ended up throwing that away. And now I will only have coffee beans at home and I'll grind them myself because that does make a difference. And Aisha says, Tracy, if you're worried about being strict carnivore right away and giving up all fruits and veggies, try going low carb first, eating 100 grams of net carbs per day, then keto, then carnivore, or ketovore, then carnivore. Yeah, Tracy, it's for some people it works really well to just dive in and go straight carnivore. And I forget that not everybody's like that. I researched this for 2.5 months, and one morning I called my wife up and I said, "Hey, can you go by McDonald's and pick me up 4 quarter-pound beef patties, no bun, just the patties?" And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "I'll explain later, but just give me the beef patties." That's how I started my carnivore diet. I went from a standard American diet, which was basically a very heavy uh, vegetable, fruit, grain diet, very lean meat, to a straight out carnivore diet. I didn't have any issues. I'm lucky that way. Some people, you do have to transition slower, cut out stuff, cut out grains first and see how you do. Give that a week or two. Then cut out processed sugars and cut out vegetables or fruits. Take a transition period for between 3 to 4 weeks in a month or 2 months to transition from a standard American diet to a ketogenic carnivore diet. And it's amazing what happens when your body finally kicks over and becomes fat adapted and you start burning the fat for your energy. It is amazing. But some people do take longer to do it. I appreciate Aisha pointing that out because I forget about that sometimes because I had no issues with it. And I don't, sometimes I forget other, everybody's not the same. We do have to find our own version of this lifestyle and how to get into it. And some people, once they do the elimination diet where they can add stuff back in, can find that they can have certain fruits and vegetables and they're fine with them. Other people find out that that all doesn't work for them. And each person has their own different level of animal fats. And that's one of the things that people should cut out right away is the seed oils. Get rid of seed oils. That damages your mitochondria. It's not good for anybody. Most of those seed oils were originally started as lubricants for heavy industrial machinery, and they failed at that. So now they're seed oils, and they use them for cooking. Not one of them is good for you. There is no healthy seed oil. They're not healthy. The healthy oils are the animal fats: butter, ghee, tallow, beef or bacon fat, lard. But you have to watch the lard too, because if you buy lard from a store, they add seed oils to it. Bryce Business says, I searched for organic coffee at bare minimum. Low acid also isn't too hard to search. Mold free is a certification that usually comes with a big price. Yep. Now, I actually found uh, where did I find that at? I don't think I even saved it. There is a coffee shop in Arizona. Yep, right there in Tempe, Arizona. Geo's. I'm going to put this on here. You can look this one up, Rise Biscuit. I found this from Amagasson Press. He's a guy that goes out and he does videos. He calls them travel videos. He stands out in front of different places and just to get the interaction with the people coming in and out of stores and the store owners. He gets the cops called on him quite a bit. It's just funny. But some of the places that he goes into or stand out in front of, the people are really nice and really good, and they invite him in. They have a great conversation. And Geo's coffee shop, they had a great interview with him. And I actually ordered this coffee, and it's really good. And I didn't have trouble with this stuff. It is a little more expensive, but it's really good coffee. And Brian says one of the best things I ever did was document everything. It helped me to learn what was going on with my body. Whenever I talked to someone, I asked if you are writing it down. Ink, don't think, right? And that's, you hear a lot of people in the carnivore say just eat until you're full. That's where what Brian's talking about. I tracked everything when I first started because I didn't get that signal. If you're listening at the first part of this live stream, I didn't get that leptin signal for 18 months that told me I was full. That was something I never got. So tracking my calories from fat and my calories from protein made a huge difference for me. In prior tracking, because of the way I used to eat, I knew that 2,500 to 3,000 calories was somewhere where I could be at, and I would be all right eating that way. So that's what I did. But yeah, your tracking doesn't lie about what's going on as long as you track everything that you are putting in your mouth. And Bryce Biscuit says, anecdotally, I've seen the same thing. Sometimes cold turkey, sometimes incremental change. You have to discover it for yourself. Absolutely. And that's everybody has their own path to get into this. And some people take longer, some people can jump right in. And Brian says, a strange thing for me since I went carnivore, I've lost the taste for chicken and pork. You still have them, just not as much. Right. Sometimes they taste really good. But for me right now, I agree with you. Chicken and pork just don't have it. And that was very evident for me around Easter when my pork ribs didn't taste as good as they should have. Everybody else loved them. But to me, they were just kind of like, whatever. And the pulled pork to me really didn't have much flavor to it, which is sad because I like pulled pork. Yeah. Aisha, it's I actually looked at this at the grocery store here, and I can't remember what other oil it was that they had put in there, but it was lard, and they said whatever the oil was that they put into it. And I was like, "This is lard. It's not supposed to have that." Basically, what they're trying to do is trying to make that lard into Crisco. And so I was gonna buy it and change my mind, and it was maybe a day later, I found at another store that they sold tallow, and that tallow at the time, I wasn't rendering my own. I wasn't keeping my own, so I bought that tallow, and it's actually pretty cool. I still use that jar because I render my own tallow, and I fill up with that jar now. But yeah, you do have to watch even with something that you think is healthy, you still have to look at it to see that they're not putting garbage into it. Bryce Biscuit says, or Brian says, Brian Biscuit, don't think it, ink it. Such a help. You love going back, and great way to learn. It is. If you can look back and learn from it, it is no better way. Bride's business says my budget was hard ceiling at $15 a pound. Most of the ones I drink now are 13 to 11 to 13 pound, and you drink a lot. Yeah, it's. I think this stuff from Geo's was over $20 a pound, and it can be expensive. Brian says he had gastric bypass surgery 23 years ago, and eating till you're full doesn't work for me. Didn't work for me before surgery, and you could eat a house, and you often did, right? And that's that leptin signal that just isn't there for some people. I didn't have it. There's a lot of people that don't have that, so it does make it hard to know when you're full and to know what's going on. But holy cow, it's been an hour and 48 minutes. And all I can hear is Bobby Boucher's mama. Seed oil is the devil. Absolutely. It will destroy your health. And it will. And it's just not something that's good for people. And it never has been. Our health industry and the doctrine that our doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals are trained on is being funded by companies that make money by keeping us sick. So, do you really trust them? I don't anymore. Hey, Bobby Boucher. Love Bobby Boucher. Well, and that this is a great point too, Aisha. So many people don't know the difference between hunger and thirst, and others don't know what being full feels like. You are 100% correct, Aisha, because it's something that I've learned. I learned this here when I was doing my insanity workouts and my beach body workouts and stuff. Before I ate, I always drank because a lot of times I wasn't hungry, I was thirsty. And I learned that from Sean T. Uh, he's got some great information. He's got some great workouts. They will kick your butt. He is a great trainer. But that's one of the things I learned from him is the first thing, try water. A lot of times you're not hungry, you're thirsty. And trying that first really helped. And Brian's Biscuit agrees. Or Brian, sorry, Brian agrees. Brian's Biscuit says sad dieters are hungry every 2 hours. And that is true. Um, being on a standard American diet or a Western diet, it's one of the things that it does is that it keeps you hungry all the time. And that's how the food companies keep their profits up. That's how our medical industry keeps their profits up because they keep you sick by making you hungry all the time and eating more and more of their garbage. So, and that doesn't do very well. Oh, let's see. What did I want to do? I wanted to look at something here. I should have done this earlier. But oh, hey, remember if you were here yesterday, I made this brisket for my grandson. So that it was just over 14 pounds before trimmed and thrown into the smoker for 12 and a half hours. And this is what my grandson wanted for his birthday. And he came over, and this is his plate. That's just over 3 pounds of brisket on the plate. And he took this here and went to a friend's house and shared it with his friend. But this is the brisket that he took from that brisket. It was over 3 pounds. And this is what he left me. Well, it's his brisket. He could do what he wants to. But that had amazing flavor. I love the smoke ring that's on this. There's nothing better than that oak flavor when it comes out of brisket or anything that you smoke on there. I'll be throwing that 2.5 pound ribeye on my smoker here in a little while and smoking that and having that for dinner tonight. I know that will be amazing. But eating foods like that, like the ribeye and shrimp with extra butter put onto it, and you notice that on the top left of the ribeye there, that big part there, that's basically a big chunk of fat. And that is so damn good. And then beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. This is one of the staples for a carnivore diet. It's cheap. It's a pound of ground beef, 4 to 6 eggs, and however much bacon you want to throw into it with some butter tossed in there for extra fat. And it is amazing. Brian says, for me, I was hungry all the time. When the noise went away, life improved. Do I have a video on how to make the brisket? I don't. I really need to do one of those. I have gone through YouTube and I probably follow 15 barbecue places, and that's how I learned how to do my briskets. There's quite a few of them out there that have some really great recipes, but one of the best one is Meat Church. I think it's Matt at Meat Church. He has some great videos, and I've learned a lot for how to make different things, including my ribs and stuff from the Meat Church website or YouTube channel. It's great stuff out there. And Aisha says, Tracy, SAD stands for Standard American Diet. And the Standard American Diet, as was said yesterday, makes people sad. It really does. And I'm really not understanding. And this is what Dustin was just talking about this in his live today. I'm not seeing all the comments, and it's frustrating that I can't see them because I don't see Tracy. Looks like I've got a YouTube violation. Wow. I wonder what I did to get a violation. This is amazing, huh? Gotta love it. Somebody doesn't like me. Oh, thanks. You should type one just to see what would happen. Failure to take action will result in a channel strike. Jiffy, hey. And Jiffy's telling me that's a troll. Yeah, it could be. And Aisha says, LOL. And Jiffy says, I hate YouTube. Price Business says, what the flip? Yep. Brian says, I would watch Learning Never Stops. My wife, uncle got third at the Royal in Kansas City. The absolute best ribs I ever had. That's amazing. I would really like this. So, but not because of this YouTube bullshit here. It has been an hour and 57 minutes. I am going to go. Hey, if I do get a strike on this here, I also stream this here on X and on Rumble. Y'all see Uncle Willie on Rumble commenting when we do this here stuff here. So I do have other channels that I do the same thing on. So if I ever end up not here, that's you can find me on the other channels because yeah, it's so much fun. And next Sunday, I'm not sure if I'm going to be having a live next Sunday. My granddaughter is being confirmed, and I may be at church instead of doing this. Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh? Right. I'm gonna have to check out the my dashboard to see violations. So appreciate everybody. You all have a great weekend, and I'll be back on Saturday. I'll know by then whether I'll be here on Sunday or not. So, and again, if I can't be on YouTube, check out X and check out Rumble because I will be there. You all have a great day, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.